Hello and welcome back to the Spa Business Mastery Podcast. I'm Kirsten Foss and hello and welcome back to the Spa Business Mastery Podcast. I am so glad you're here, dear beauty and wellness owner. So today's topic, I think you're really going to like it. I got really excited about it, to be perfectly honest, and it sometimes takes a lot for me to get excited about the beauty and wellness of business because I've been in it for so stinking long. I've seen all the iterations. I've been solo to team. I've gone back from team to solo. I have been a business consultant. I've been an educator, an aesthetic educator before. And so, yeah, I've seen it all, which is part of what makes my brain really valuable to a lot of you because it's a lot to figure out, right? Especially the fact that most of us come up the ranks as service providers and we didn't go to business school. We didn't get a business degree to understand all of this, business growth stuff. So today's topic has to do with preparing your beauty and wellness business for the next chapters. This is about completing cycles, closing chapters, and what you need to do in order to prepare for the next phase of your business. Whether you are a solo and things have been going pretty well and you're moving from like solo beginner to solo intermediate. Maybe you are a solo and you want to build a team and you're not really sure what to do to prep yourself for that. Maybe you have a business that has a team and you are thinking of retiring or selling and doing something different. Either one of those scenarios needs a plan because we've got a goal to move on to the next phase, whatever that looks like. And that when we're in that transition phase, that is probably one of the most frustrating phases as a beauty and wellness owner, as any kind of entrepreneur, because the learning that we did to get us here feeling comfortable, it's only got us here to this level. And so we need to get uncomfortable a little bit to learn a few things to take us to this next chapter in our business. So I want to make that really easy for you, whatever level you're at, whatever stage are at your business, you've got options. And this is about, it's all about what you need to know to prepare for this next phase. So why am I talking about this? Well, as of this podcast, we will be in October 2024. And in numerology, that makes this a nine energy month. And why this is important is because the nine energy is all about higher wisdom. It's the completion of a manifestation cycle from number one all the way to nine. We've learned a few things. And so when we get to a nine energy month or a nine energy year, or we have a personal year nine, or maybe you are even a ruling number nine in numerology, it is all about having this higher wisdom, but it's all, more about like cycle completion and cleaning up all the little residual pieces that need cleaning up before we can move into this next phase. Because we can't take everything with us. If we're hoarders, whether you are a physical hoarder of things or have a tendency to be, or whether you're a hoarder of thoughts and ideas, and maybe you're kind of a hoarder of energy, and a lot of times that hoarding energy just comes from fear of lack, of like not knowing what the next phase is, not seeing it, not trusting it. And so we kind of hold on to things and we want to carry them with us because it creates really, it's not a true sense of safety, but it gives us this sense of safety. Now, what I am challenging you to do for today and for the month of October 2024 And anytime you're in a 9 energy, whether it's coming around again as a universal month energy, or you're in a personal year of a 9, or it's your ruling number 9, it's a big piece of this is, what do I need to clean up in order to get to the next place that I want to be? Can't take it all with us. So let's dig in, let's dive in and talk about, first up is moving from solo beginner to solo intermediate. What does that look like? Well, the key overarching theme for you is about building systems for sustainability. So, um, you've been in the trial and error phase of a new business, and now you're starting to figure things out. But the key piece here to move into an intermediate phase of your solo business is to make your systems more repeatable, so it's not taking you all the time. And what we're talking, I'm going to get into it, but I'm talking about the things that you do over and over and over and over and over and over, that need a system, because it will make it easier for you to get those things done, whether it'll be automated or it's just not taking you as long. So we're talking about efficiencies in your business. We're talking about energetic efficiencies, and we're talking about real life efficiencies. So first up is marketing systems. If you are moving from beginner to intermediate as an esthetician, solo, like, it doesn't have to be an esthetician, whether you're a solo therapist, like massage therapist, physiotherapist, Reiki practitioner, doesn't matter what you are doing. We're just talking about the actual solo modality. So when it comes to marketing, most likely you have been posting on the fly, and it's now time to develop a little bit more of a structured system, so it's not feeling so, what would be the word? Like, just feels a little out of control. So first thing I would do with this is develop a content calendar. Um, this is really, there's tons of content calendars out there. You can just simply use a Word doc or a Google Doc and start mapping out your content, but that is a content calendar. Another way to make this more efficient is to automate your social media posts using a platform like Later, or I think there's Metricool. There's a bunch of them out there, but essentially you would create most of your content even just a week ahead and schedule it out so that you're not like, oh, I got to do a post today, and oh, I don't have time. Email marketings are something that, email marketing campaigns are maybe something that you haven't thought about yet, but it's now time as you move into this intermediate phase. Email campaigns are really strong. They are the strongest way of marketing, to nurture both your existing clients and potential clients if you have an email opt-in on your website. If you don't have an email opt-in, that is where, like, somebody comes to your site, a little, whether a little pop-up comes up just before they click off, or maybe you have it on your homepage somewhere, but it's like, enter your name and email to get, $25 off your first facial, or a report on, the best anti-aging skin tips, or a report on, 5 ways to calm your nervous system down every night. It's something free and given in exchange for your consumer's email. But once they're on your email list, you can then nurture those, even if they haven't been in your business, you can nurture them. Using templates, so, marketing templates, using a template for your email marketing. Don't recreate the wheel every email that you send out. Just create yourself a template, change it up every 6 months to a year, and you're good to go. And then, of course, hiring a contractor to help you with your social media, or a VA, is super, super helpful when you reach that intermediate level. Now, when it comes to service sales, what I would recommend as a solo moving into intermediate is to give yourself an audit of your services, and identify what those top sellers are for the services, as well as if you have retail sales, take a look at that. The other really key aspect of service sales is about making sure that your clients, especially your new clients, are leaving with your recommendations, whether it's their home care recommendations or what your treatment plan is for them. This is time to start kind of letting go of the one and done facials and moving into more of a kind of, this is how I do things. And when you have a new client and you're sharing with them their home care, what you're recommending for them, what the future treatments are, like next month, I want to do this treatment because then it's going to really prepare us for the following month to do this more intensive, active treatment. So we're creating a relationship. We're creating a plan for them to let our clients know that I'm here for the long haul for you, and I have a vision for you of where you can be at. So that would include, making sure that your clients have home care prescriptions going home. Even if you don't have a lot of retail to sell, I would still be sending clients home with home care prescriptions. Even if it's just a small little 4x4 pad of paper that has your logo and your branding on it, and date, your place for your name, a place for the client's name, and just a few lines so you can write notes in there. That is very helpful for making sure your client is getting the information and remembering the information once they've left you. I would also at this stage, if you haven't already, create a client referral program, especially for launching to your VIP clients, your top 20 spenders in your business. Retail sales. Now, this is tricky for some of you because you don't have a lot of retail, but for those of you that do, like our skin therapy businesses and some of our wellness businesses that sell wellness items, like essential oils or like the warm buddy packs, or what else is there? Like the heat packs. There's all sorts of stuff. Oracle cards, tarot cards, crystals. When it comes to retailing, that is one of those places where we can leverage the business financially. So if you are a service-based business, which, that's who I'm speaking to live off of service alone can be extremely difficult, especially if you're trying to build a team. So just know that how you leverage your business is going to be with retail as much as you can, but of course, in a way that's aligned. The products are aligned with what you believe in and what the results that you want to get. It's not just about selling retail to sell retail. But it is time to audit your retail offerings and to identify what your top sellers are and identify what your bottom sellers are. Because if we don't do these little analysis, we have got little buckets of money sitting on our retail shelves, taking up space and taking up money. So what are the lower sellers? Maybe it's time to, even just like, oops, I keep forgetting to recommend these products, but maybe they're not even your favorite products. It's time to let them go. Again, letting them go so we can bring in and sell more products that are in more alignment. Now, how does a business that's going from solo to intermediate, how do you leverage your clients and your sales? Well, you've got to review your data. So if you don't have a spa, salon, wellness business booking system, then I highly recommend that you do something like Vagaro or Jane, or I have to look into Mevo again. I think they've changed some things, but you do need to have some reports so you can see these top 20% clients. You can see the bottom 20% clients. You can see the top 20 retail, the top 20 services. This allows you to analyze. Maybe it's time to take some services off. Likely you want to add some services. So again, when I was talking about the hoarding of things, services was one of those things that sometimes get hoarded and owners forget to take them off their menu. You don't have to appease everybody. Like, you don't have to be all things to everybody. You're more likely to get an uptick when you start being a little bit more focused on your service offerings, especially. And it has to do, like, what are your favorite services to do? Maybe you're bored of some of the services that you're doing. That's a flag in the play for you to start letting go of some things to allow room for the new stuff to come in. All right, let's do a little switcheroony here. Let's talk about another situation where you are a solo, but you want to create a team. Your main focus for this is systems and structure for growth, particularly with people. So with this 9 energy of October, what it's really doing is asking you to let go of some old habits and embrace this new leadership role that you are stepping into. So even if you don't have the team in front of you yet, start acting like you have a team. That mindset shift has to shift from solo to team in terms of your own personal and professional leadership. So important. Unfortunately, you can't, we kind of want to be friends with our team members. And yes, you can be friends and friendly, but there definitely needs to be a little bit of space so that you can stand in your leadership and not feel frustrated or confused about what your role is versus what their role is. It's tough doing that shift. So, okay, the first thing I want to share with you is as far as what needs to change is and kind of what you need to let go of and what's coming in is it's about hiring the right people. So this is when, as far as systems and structure, you need job descriptions for your guest services, for your service providers, for your management team. You need a hiring system. Like if you've never hired before, you might not understand what the process is. You may not only understand it if you've been employed, but there's little nuances in terms of the hiring process that you need to understand and know. If you don't have a hiring system, you have no idea how to create a hiring system, please, please, please contact me. I have one that you can literally plug and play into your business. It's actually part of a bigger system called a spa manager and leadership manual. And it literally has all the protocols in there, as well as all of the assets, like, the actual job descriptions and job postings and protocols. So what this means in terms of hiring the right people is having that system, creating those recruiting and hiring systems. And once it's documented, please don't keep it up in your head if you want to do it on your own. To keep it or to create it as a system, you literally just have to document your recruiting and hiring protocols and then just hit repeat every time you do that, every time you need to hire. Definitely saves time on your recruiting process and it ensures you definitely attract a higher quality team member. Okay. Because your hiring process will also have, like, you'll have your values locked in. You'll know the exact questions to ask. You'll know exact questions to ask for the screening interview, for the in-person interview, for the practical interview. So when you know those things to ask and how to screen them all, you get a better quality employee. Okay, the other really important piece for you if you're moving into a team is you have to have your onboarding and training systems done. You may have had experience with this as an employee where you're onboarded and kind of trained, but you were really they just talked to you about it, showed you how to do it. There wasn't really any documentation and you kind of had to figure it out on your own. That is not ideal at all, folks. It honestly sets up your team to fail and it sets you up to fail in your leadership. It's too much. It's too big of a job to do without having it being documented. So you need onboarding and training systems. It's just protocols. Okay. Okay. The next thing you need is leadership and delegation. So start practicing your delegation techniques. What was the book that I read? Oh, it was Mike Mikowitz, Run Like Clockwork. He has a really good process in there in terms of like delegation and really just identifying the queen bee role that he calls, and making sure that you are not, as the owner and the manager, if that's what you're doing both roles, that you're not getting stuck in too many of the doing tasks. You must be delegating. So start practicing delegation. If you don't have the money to delegate right now, like I'm talking about, like, oh, I can't afford to hire a social media manager, or I can't afford to hire a business coach. That is just in terms of finances, that will be problematic. If you can't afford to do that right now, my question is, like, are you able to financially afford hiring a team? Because it's not like you hire people and they just cover their own pay. They have to build up their clientele. So you are going to have to cover their pay for a while. So the other part of that delegating piece is, part of it is the financial flag. The other piece is like, oh, I just like it the way I like it. I want to do it. That is another flag in the play in terms of your leadership. Because for me, I look at that and I think, somebody's going to have a difficult time managing their team. Because if you can't delegate and you insist on doing all of the things yourself, then you're going to burn yourself out and you're not going to be available for your team. So again, this is that delegating is part of that 9 energy of letting go. There are pieces in your business you have to let go of. You have to let control over go. How you maintain control is by having documented systems and processes. It holds everybody accountable. Okay. So, what that looks like in terms of leadership and delegation is creating management systems. It's tracking employee performance. It's giving client feedback, team feedback, and having like your daily operations. Like if you don't have an operations manual and you have a team, you need an operations manual. Your operations manual is just a list of protocols from everything from guest services to your service providers and everything in between. Look at this. I'm looking at my clock and it's 10:10. And in numerology, the 10 is all about innovation, vision, and leadership. So I'm getting a strong message here about leadership with that. The last piece here for this particular transition, solo to team, is making sure you have financial organization. I'm talking about systems for payroll, like how are you going to pay your taxes, having systems for paying your taxes. What kind of employee benefits did you want to have? Can you afford to have employee benefits? Maybe you can have some perks. But the piece about the financial responsibility aspect is to make sure that you have that stuff set up and organized before you start hiring a team. Okay. Because you're going to need those things in place before you onboard them because they're going to be paid in a couple of weeks, right? I would definitely consider outsourcing your bookkeeping and accounting. Bookkeepers are definitely less expensive. I recommend that you have them do your books every single month, and then they hand off your year end to an accountant. But definitely work with a bookkeeper. And I also recommend somebody who is a profit first bookkeeper. Very, very, that's a really great that profit first system is so helpful in terms of your financial obligations. When we got a bigger business, it just gets more complicated. That's just the reality of it. And using that profit first methodology for your financial organization is a game changer, huge game changer. So having your financial systems, looking at if you haven't read Profit First or the audiobook, please read that. And yeah, just making sure that you are working with an accounting software like QuickBooks, something ideally maybe that even integrates with your booking system would be awesome. All right, let's move to our third and final scenario here is as far as, what do I need to do to prepare for the next chapter of my business? And that is if you're going to sell your business where you're completely ready to let it go. I've personally been there. It was, it was hard at first when I decided to sell my business because when I really looked at it, this was before I had systems and structure. I didn't have any operations manual. I didn't have a staff handbook. We were hemorrhaging money and I had a new baby and I really just wanted to let all of this business stuff go because I wanted to be at home with him. It surprised me actually that I felt that way. I thought I'd be the kind of mom where I'm like, no, let's just go all in. But you just never know when you have a baby what's going to happen. And for me, it was like, I really just want to go all in on motherhood. I do still want to work, but I just want to work part-time. I want a job that I can just go to and leave and I don't have to worry about anything. So that was my impetus for wanting to sell my business, but it was totally worthless at that time because I didn't have any systems and structure. I wasn't financially organized. And so it took me a little bit to get that put all together, but I did it. And within 6 months, I was able to put my business up for sale because it was profitable. It was organized. It was turnkey. I could literally hand it over to a new owner. I could do some training with her and she was good to go. So let's get into that for you. If you are thinking about selling your business, what do you need? How do you need to prepare? So the first thing is to organize your financials. That absolutely has to be done. So, potential buyers want to see clear financials. They want to see that there's profitability. They want to see that your payroll isn't completely out of hand. So when I was realizing I wanted to sell my business, this was a big, huge, massive piece for me that I had to get organized and under control. So one of the things I ended up doing is switching my team over to performance-based pay. That was a massive game changer in terms of getting everybody on board with the business goals. I did lose two team members, and those were two team members that I needed to lose. They were not working with the business. They were giving me lots of headaches, and I really needed them to go. But switching over to that payroll just made it really easy. It was their choice. How you're paying your team. So if you're still paying your team straight commission, and if it's like 50% commission, that's going to look really tough on your financials if somebody's looking at that as a business. The other thing is that if straight commission is a variable expense, you can't kind of budget for how much your payroll is typically going to cost unless it's, you're always really busy. You're pretty standardly busy. Let's see. The other thing is like you just want to make sure all your income, all your expenses, everything's properly documented so that you can also do projections. The problem is if it doesn't look great and it's not great and you do projections, those projections aren't going to look good. So getting your financials in order is so important. Okay, the next piece, if you want to sell your business, is to create and document your systems and processes. This is exactly why I did it for my business, because I wanted to sell it. You really just want to you need to look at your business almost like I need to put this together like a bit of a franchise, because the franchise model is to sell for other owners to like literally turnkey and start their business. So I just pretended I was creating a franchise and I created standardized systems for everything. And so when the new owner, when people were looking at my business, and actually when the new owner actually finally took it over, everything was done for her. It was literally I just had to train her and show her how things work, that everything was rolling on its own because I had created structure and systems. The third piece on here as a team is making sure that your client and team communications are spot on. So this is more about the aspect of transitioning. Now, I actually do not tell your clients, do not tell your team that you are thinking of selling until the business is sold. Keep it under wraps, because what will happen is people will just freak out. Client staff will freak out. People make assumptions. If they don't have the full story, we fill in the blanks with what we think we know. That's just human nature. So do yourself a favor and keep all of it under wraps and confidential until the business is signed and sealed and delivered and done. Then you present that. So if that's something that you're planning on doing and you're not sure how that transition should go, I've done it before. Please contact me and I will support you through that, because it can be really, really stressful. And we want to make it so that the team feels very secure, that nothing's changing for like how they do things isn't changing for them. We've just got a change of leadership. This is how the leadership is supporting them. So having that team communication when the business is sold is really important. But then sharing it with clients also is important, because clients, they probably love you and don't want to lose you. So how you communicate the selling of the business is so critical. We don't want them just to make assumptions and then find other places. And the last piece I have here is really just about your emotional readiness. And selling your business can feel super emotionally charged. You created this baby. So use the 9 energy of letting go and this part of it, of your journey, as just reflection and time to reflect on what you learned, the good, the bad, and the ugly, because we need to reflect and make sense and have closure to that to allow us to really move on to the next phase of our life really openly and with, open heart, and not feeling like you've got little, cords still attached to you. So We've talked about the three different types of scenarios where you are preparing to shift and change and what needs to shift and change to move into that next level. So let's break it down a little bit, make it a little bit more of a summary here in terms of practical suggestions for using this kind of 9 completion energy. So, regardless of what stage you're in, these are some additional ways to help you kind of tap into that wisdom of the 9, the ease of letting go of the 9, and the kind of looking forward to the 1. So I did mention this in the October forecast, but October 2024, because we're in a 9 energy month, is the time to do a audit. Do a full audit of your business, from your financials to your operations, your marketing, your client retention, your team retention. The whole point of it is to identify what's not working. It's also to identify what is working and what needs to release, what needs to be let go of in order to move to this next phase, next chapter. The next step for this is to set your goals for your next cycle. So with the completion of this cycle, it's time to start thinking about next step. What do you want this next phase to look like? What do you want this next manifestation cycle to look like? We had a manifestation cycle completing October 24th that started in February 2024. So we will going from November into December. So November is a 1 energy month, December is a 2 energy month, and then we're back to a 1 energy month in January. So we'll have a bit of this whoosh, whoosh back and forth from the 9 to the 1 to the 2 to the 1. So you got some time to think about and the monthly energies coming up. So like November and January will both be 1 energy months where you're going to be really feeling this like get started, kick started, visioning, having all the ideas kind of vibration. You'll have it in November and you'll have it again in January. So you've got some time and you're some space to think about what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? I don't know. I want you to know what you want. So spend some time thinking about it in this 9 energy month of October. Um, these are like financial goals. These are like just kind of how you want to heart goals, how you want to feel in your business. These are like goals for like maybe it's a new ideal client. I've done a really big shift in my ideal client this year, and I need to let go of my existing what my old ideal client was, which is just primarily spa owners, because I wanted to open up space for more of beauty and wellness entrepreneurs. I wanted to talk to more people, and I also wanted to talk to a slightly different group of people. And that is people who are interested or curious about, mysticism, spirituality, spiritual insights, and how to blend that and work that into your business on the daily, and how to work that and blend that into your business to give you not only like a super purposeful driven business, but one that pays you well as well. So I've got some big things that I'm planning to let go of that are kind of scary. One of them is a Facebook group that has 2,700 people in it, but they're not my ideal clients, and it's been difficult to kind of resuscitate activity in it because I had been quiet in it for probably like a good 6, 7, 8 months, and so I've been kind of getting this niggling feeling that maybe I just need to let go of that group and start over. And as I've been thinking about it in October and, pondering it, I don't want to let go of I've got 2,700 people in it, but they're not 2,700 engaged people. I don't know, like a small portion of them are likely my ideal client. So I am going to be opening up and creating a new group, a group that is named slightly differently, but that my ideal client will be able to recognize it immediately as the group for them that they want to be in. And it's the same with my podcast. It's been called the Spa Business Mastery Podcast for 5 years. And I'm not talking just to spa owners anymore. So I've got to let some things go. That name's going to be changing as well. But there's lots of fears about it because everybody knows it as Spa Business Mastery. So stay tuned for what that's going to look like, because the shift might not be as the shift isn't as big as I thought it would be. I just needed a little time and space to think about it, to let things sit and settle. And I'm really happy with where it's going. So even though I'm going to archive Spa Business Mastery group eventually, um, I've got this new vision that I'm wanting to move into. So it means I've got to do some risky stuff. And one of the risky things is to close that Facebook group down. So, but I need to do that. I need to let go of some stuff, names, groups. There's lots of other things in order for me to fully step into this next phase of my business, which is about blending spiritual insights with business strategy. And finally, the other piece I want you to remember about the process of letting go is to celebrate your progress. The nine is because, like I said, that nine energy is the end of a manifestation cycle. You have progressed from one to nine, whatever it is that you've been learning. You've learned a lot. So honor that progression. Give her a little pat on the back. It wasn't always easy. There was plenty of frustrations and stucknesses and irritations, but you're now at a place where you have a lot more clarity about where you want to go. So celebrate that process, celebrate your wins, big and small. Um, and whether it is a specific milestone that you made, or a revenue goal, or you've gotten systems and structures put in your business this year, reflect on what went well, what didn't go well, but really focusing on the pat on the back on what did go well, because you know that what didn't go well, all you just have to do is tweak and adjust those things. So, how has October been for you in terms of letting go, in terms of cycle completions, in terms of stepping into your wisdom of what you really know, in terms of leadership? What's been happening for you this October? What I've noticed from feedback from those of you that have been listening to this podcast for a while, especially um, when you get the monthly forecasts, some of you really, really feel the energies that are coming down the pipe. Some of you are like, oh, I didn't really notice it. But what I am always loving is to hear your stories and how these energies are affecting your business strategy, how they're affecting your business mindset, and the little shifts and changes that come along the way when we tap into and honor our awareness, when we tap into and honor our spirit and our soul for what it's trying to do and create. Your soul has created this business to express itself and to care for people in your community. You're a light worker, if you didn't know that already. And so you have this amazing gift and energy to share with the world. You just happen to be doing it through whatever modality you actually happen to choose. So, using kind of these spiritual insights and the understanding of numerology and the energetics of how, in this case, the number nine works on your business for this particular month is such a helpful tool to guide us where we need to go. Because sometimes we get a little lost, and the numerology and the spiritual insights, as well as your intuition, when we can tap into those resources, those give us the clues and the breadcrumbs as far as what's coming down the pipe, what's next for us. All right, uh, share your celebrations this past year. What have you noticed? What has been your aha moments this year as we celebrate this nine energy and the cycle completion in October 2024? You can send them to me them in an email, kirsten@kirstenfoss.com, or you can just DM me on any of my platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. I only lurk on TikTok at the moment. I haven't posted anything. I keep feeling kind of pulled to do it, but I'm not quite there yet. I'm actually in a personal year nine right now. And so there's lots of things that I'm cleaning up in my personal life, in my business. And I've got some really cool, fun, creative ideas coming down the pipe, but I've also been waiting for my personal year to shift into the one. So I'm being mindful of what I'm clearing up before I start something new. It's kind of like for those of you that have projects, creative projects, crafts, you probably got a lot of stuff like 90% finished. So what we're doing here is we're finishing up that last 10% of the project, and then we can start a new one. All right, we'll see you then.